Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. The co-feature on a Sunday afternoon at Kentucky Downs is the Dueling Grounds Oaks for 3-year-old fillies. It is a race, it is a card that you can bet with your very own DRF Bets account. Sign up at bets.drf.com, receive a 300% deposit match. Here are the field of 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile and 5/16 in the Dueling Grounds Oaks. Matt, a horse I think we really have to talk about is the 11, Heavenly Love, for trainer Mark Casse, getting a lot of class relief and returning to a surface that we know she loves. She really broke through in a big way as a 2-year-old here last year.
She was awesome that day, breaking her maiden, and that was, obviously the purses down at Kentucky Downs are tremendous. That's why these races are as competitive as they are. You get giant fields. She was awesome that day, and that preceded a big victory in the Grade 1 Alcibiades down at Keeneland. And the problem is, for me anyway, it just doesn't feel like she's gotten a whole heck of a lot better here as the 3-year-old. I know she ran third in that Regret 2 starts back at Churchill Downs, but to be honest, I didn't think the Regret was very strong. She showed up in that Lake George. She was just overmatched. She's not as good as those fillies. Maybe getting back to Kentucky Downs is going to be all that she needs, but to be honest with you, at 7-2 on the morning line, she's the kind of horse that I would be taking a shot against every day. I
tend to agree. Plus, I'm a little bit concerned about her stretching all the way out to the 1 mile and 5/16. It just seems like she needs everything to go her way. The Casse barn's starting to heat up after a tough Saratoga meet. The class relief certainly helps Heavenly Love. Getting back to Kentucky Downs helps Heavenly Love. The 7-2 price doesn't exactly help me. Now, the horse that ran second to Heavenly Love in the Alcibiades is Princess Warrior. And I think you can make the same arguments against Princess Warrior that you do for Heavenly Love. This was a very talented 2-year-old who has shown flashes since that runner-up effort in the Alcibiades, but just hasn't really gotten much faster.
No, from a figure standpoint, she certainly hasn't, but I do think that there's at least a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel recently anyway. Ken McPeak has brought her back over to the turf in these last 2 starts, and it to me anyway, it feels like maybe from a figure standpoint, they're not markedly better, but I think they're very clearly the 2 best races of her career. Now, I don't know if necessarily this additional distance is going to be ideal for her, but she did finish well in that pucker up at 1 mile and an 1/8, so perhaps that's going to be sort of an inkling that she's going to be able to handle the additional ground. 6-1, I'd like a little bit more than that, but I do think she's a little bit of a player in here.
She's versatile. If the pace is slow, she can be up close, as we saw 2 starts back at Ellis Park. Last time out, that pace was pretty fast in the pucker up. She was far behind. She came with a good, solid run, and she's a good, solid horse. It'll be interesting to see what price she'll be come post time. Speaking of the pace, let's throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector. We've got the 6 Cloak of Secrecy out there on the lead. And again, Cloak of Secrecy isn't exactly, your typical burner. I wouldn't be surprised if a horse like the 5 Dothraki C ends up on the lead with Cloak of Secrecy chasing, but at least we know she'll be close to the pace. Last time out, she ran over yielding ground at Saratoga. She might yet get yielding ground again at Kentucky Downs on Sunday, and I thought she ran pretty well. That was a nice, fast pace. She made a run at it. She flattened out a bit, and one of the also-rans that didn't like the surface came right back to win at Delaware with a 78 buyer. She's a sleeper if she gets this trip.
Especially at the price too, 12-1. I mean, if you think she's going to be forwardly placed and you think that she can take advantage of a moderate pace situation, I think she is a little bit interesting. That reversed the decision. She's an okay one as a 3-year-old. Now, I will say, I guess I'm a little bit concerned about the speed figures. And again, it depends ultimately on what you're talking about from a price. If she's going to be every bit of the 12, then yeah, I'm okay taking a shot. But if she goes down any less than that, if she floats into the 8-7, 8-1 range, that to me, then you're starting to tread with an underlay.
The horse that's chasing on the pace projector, the number 9 Rahway's, coming out of a key race at Indiana Grand. The runner-up came back to score with an 82 buyer speed figure in an entry-level optional claimer. Now, this horse finished behind Cloak of Secrecy at Saratoga and just didn't seem to appreciate that yielding turf course. It's going to be wet at Kentucky Downs on Sunday. I'm concerned about the ground.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know what to make of this horse because she's got a decent race in that most recent one at Indiana Grand. Then you follow it up prior to that with 2 just really poor efforts, and one of them was one of the times that they've tested her. When she has been tested, she has not passed the test. The Hatouf, she was terrible in the Honeybee last year or earlier this year, and I know it was on dirt, but she didn't run well in that race either. I just have some serious questions about her overall class.
I think she will improve stretching back out. It seems like she does want some distance, but I agree with you about all the concerns. The 5 Dothraki C was 3rd on the pace projector. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes to the front. It worked for her last time out on dirt, but Matt, she's a Union Rags on turf.
Yeah, I mean, that usually is the beginning and end of the argument for or against a horse, Union Rags on grass. But I mean, look, I suppose it's one of those things. If you think that this horse is forwardly placed, and guess what? Proctor and Drayden Van Dyke have had success with the Union Rags progeny in the past. I believe Big Bend was one of the horses that won the Dueling Grounds Derby last year. He's the son of Union Rags. Might be the only good Union Rags horse on turf. We'll find out if Dothraki C can handle it. Again, from a pedigree standpoint, I'm dubious.
I think Osare has a chance at a price for Jonathan Thomas and Jose Ortiz down towards the rail. A very lightly raced filly with a big pedigree. I think she's on the improve. Last time out, who knew that Lady Montour was that good? She got a really good trip and she ran really well at Saratoga, did Lady Montour. But then she came back and she just wired that field in the Glens Falls, a graded stakes race with a 93 buyer. Osari tried hard against Lady Montour that day. She ran really well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big forward move on the buyers.
We're still in that kind of time where I know you're starting to face older horses, but I think whenever you get the opportunity to drop back in from an older horse race down into restricted 3-year-old company, that's going to be a little bit of hidden class relief no matter what. I thought she ran just fine that day, and you brought it up. She's already worth her weight in gold, just simply because she's Arrogate's little sister. But the bigger part is if you can get a stakes placing in here, all of a sudden now she just goes through the roof as far as broodmare value.
The 2 is Malibu Saint going out for Michael Maker. Toss Michael Maker at your own peril at Kentucky Downs. Here's a formulator fact for Malibu Saint. Over the past 5 years, 3-year-old turf routers following a 45 to 60 day layoff in non-graded stakes, almost 30% winners, a 434 ROI. I thought this filly was compromised by a lack of pace last time out in the Tawi. She is a stakes winner over good ground at Gulfstream, but I just wonder if these are a little tougher than what she's used to.
That race down at Gulfstream, I know Timeform US has the opening fraction color-coded blue. That race had just a complete closer's feel to it. It fell apart late, and I hate to say it, but I don't even want to say I hate to say it. Take a look and see. She really hasn't gotten any better. She's run in the high 60s and occasionally can crack a 70. Right now, I just don't think she's good enough.
Maker also has Sippin' Kippin', the number 10, and this horse last time out, again, he caught that yielding ground, and she just really didn't fire despite a fast pace. I wanted to at least see her try to run a little bit in the stretch. Now, maybe she needed the race. Her first start in 2 months. She ran well over soft ground at Keeneland 2 starts back. The simple fact that Maker has her in here, I think, is a very, very good sign, but she's still eligible for an Onwards to Life.
She certainly needs to move forward. I think I want to take a little bit more of the positive spin, like you say. Maybe she just needed that last race. And look, coming off of a layoff, catching yielding ground, that's not the easiest thing to do in the world. If she does move forward here in the second start off the bench, if you project any sort of forward move from, let's say, those mid-70s buyers, and if she creeps into the low 80s, she's got a fringe sort of chance in here.
I think Smart Shot has a chance at a price in here. This is a Calumet homebred that won 2 in a row. Looked like she was really coming into her own. She drew a bad post in the pucker up. I don't think she got a great trip. I'm willing to draw a line through that race. I think this is a late developing filly, a May foal. She has the ability, I think, to run a buyer speed figure in the mid-80s. That's going to be enough to put her somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if not threatened for the victory, certainly we're talking in the money and hitting the board. I agree with you. I like the runs 2 and 3 starts back at Churchill. She broke her maiden 3 back, looked good in that run 2 starts back, and for whatever the situation was, the beginning portion of that race in the pucker up or whatever else, I think she's better than what we saw at Arlington Park. I will say, if she doesn't run particularly well here on Sunday, maybe you've got the course that you can sort of use and throw that in your back pocket. I think you have to start looking at the possibility that she loves Churchill Downs, because that's where her 2 best races to date have come.
The 7 Lemon Princess is bred to run all day long. She beat 3 next out winners in her most recent race at Arlington Park, but I just thought that pace really fell apart for her.
Yeah, I mean, they were cooking up front early on, and she came along and picked up the pieces. And again, at the end of the day, this is a filly that just on paper, she's very, very slow.
Top pick time for the Dueling Grounds Oaks. Let's talk about the number 4, Overthinking. And you're not overthinking it at all if you're simply saying horse for course. This horse eligible for a non-winners of 2 life, but the lone win came at Kentucky Downs. She paid $92 that day. She won't pay that much on Sunday, but she'll still pay well.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's 12 to 1 in the morning line. I don't know that she goes off at that. I think she might be in the high single-digit range. You combine the fact that she's run well over the course, with the fact that not just because she has the highest last out buyer in the field, but I like the fact that not only did she face older horses, she faced older males out in Southern California. And say what you will about those horses, they're decent enough. I mean, they're workmanlike. You've got a horse like Oscar Dominguez. He came back and earned a 90 buyer in his next start, and the 5th place finisher a 90 buyer as well. I think it's just an instance, like I had said earlier, talking about one of the other fillies. Whenever you get that little hidden relief going from older horses back down into 3-year-old restricted, and for her case, she was facing older males, I just think that she's an interesting case in here at what should be close to double-digit odds.
Vicky Oliver does a very good job. She doesn't get the credit she deserves. I also like the quality of competition this horse was facing against fellow 3-year-olds. I mean, horses like Toinette, horses like La Signare, horses like Geo Game and Camilla Princess. These are stakes horses, and Overthinking was in against them, so she might be a little bit dirtied up. She's actually my second pick in this race and a horse that I want to use in multiple race wagers. Give me numbers.
I'm going to go 4-8-3-1.
I'm going to go with Pamina in here. This is a Godolphin-bred, Augustin stable-owned daughter of Street Cry. And really, she's done nothing wrong from 5 lifetime starts. From a pure figure standpoint, she's already right there with an 85 in her last race. And with only 5 starts under her belt, slight forward move might put her in that 88, 89 range. And I think that's good enough to get this done. I thought she ran okay in the pucker up. The pace, I think, was legitimate. She was fairly close to it. She made the first run at it, and she got a little bit tired late behind Secret Message. She's a logical horse. The price isn't there, but I'm going 3-4.
And, you know, I think that was the key point to mention with her in the pucker up. She made that first move into the heat of the pace, and unfortunately just tired a little bit at the end off of a little bit of a layoff. Second start back, I think you're going to get a forward move here. You're right, the price is not huge, but at the end of the day, you can make the case that if you get the 3-1, she's arguably the most likely winner in this race, so I have no problem with that.
Real fun race, real fun card, real fun track. Kentucky Downs Sunday afternoon, 2 stakes races for the 3-year-olds. Bet it with a DRF Bets account. You won't be sorry. 300% deposit match is yours when you sign up at bets.drf.com. Approximate post time for the Dueling Grounds Oaks, 5:02 Central on Sunday afternoon. Good luck.